Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reconciling Live! Filmed in front of a beautiful studio audience in downtown Burlington. Now, welcome our host, our President and CEO, Andy Albright!
All right. Thank y'all. Is there a television up there somewhere?
There is now.
Where is it?
It's right here.
Oh, it's further out.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I like that. Because because they play it back there, and I'm watching it, and I didn't like y'all having to turn around like that. I wanted you to look this way. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Let me explain to you. That's the first lesson.
Okay.
Tell me what you want. Does that make sense? Like I wanted it so you could see it going on. Does that make sense? And I got a picture from Billy said done. And I'm standing here looking going, where is it? Where is it? And it's right here. Right there. But does that make sense? You ever ask somebody what they want and they go, It's very difficult to make come true. Does that make sense? I'm fired up. Y'all grab a seat. I got 100 things I want to talk to you about. Here's what I promised. I love you, Terry Edwards. People, I'm not kidding you. People look for something they can control, something they can have permission, something that they can do without anybody's other mess, okay? So I don't care where you are, what time of night it is, what position you're in, how you're feeling. These are 3 simple things that you can work on, okay? It's your attitude, your aptitude, and your actions, okay? So we're going to keep hammering that attitude. You can work on it. You can fix it. You can change it. You can improve it. Your aptitude, how good are you at it? What's your skill level and actions? You can do, something. You can move. You don't have to ask nobody. And think about this. Those are 3 things you need to improve on.
That's right. Amen.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to keep that's the big thing I want to say to you. I got a million little things to cover with. I got Jeff Bright. I told him those 3 things. Guess what? He came up with a formula and some psychological terms. Just unbelievable. Hey, stuff happens, right? Y'all we got hats made out of that and bumper stickers. So I'm in this meeting the other day. And there's this super sharp guy, 29 years old. He's a guest, and I connect with him. Well, I got a group that I hired a guy who hired a guy who hired a guy who hired a guy who hired a girl. And this girl, she's don't. A lot of times she don't think she's as good as other people. I don't know if y'all fit in that category, but I do. But I knew it because just sometimes she's just like, and I was like, hey, let's go. And this guy is all that and a pack of Pintos, you know what I mean? Now he's got it going on, right? So I connect with him, right? So I'm thinking, here we go, one more deep in my network, right? One more deep, Joker, sharp, right? So I'm connecting with him, I'm popping on him, and I talk to him a little bit, I'm texting him. He's fired out of his mind, he's going to do this thing. And the girl, she's like, I hope he does it. And I was like, me too, right? Because that's deeper. Now, the truth is, I want her to be great at it, okay? And but so she texts me back next day. She said, "Oh, he says he's got too much going on now. He was fired up out of his mind, couldn't sleep." But next day, I said, "Oh, okay. Don't give up on him. He's a sharp kind of guy you don't want to give up on." And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "Don't worry about it. Let's go find another one, but let's keep nice to him." But I texted him. I said, "Hey, Bo, let's me and you connect. I want to introduce you to a few more people. I don't want you to get too deep into this. I just want you to taste it. Just want to get started." Right? He's like, yeah, man, that sounds cool. Shoot me some names of some people. I get a text from her. He's dead. I said, what? She says he's dead. So I made a note, right? I made a note about a week ago. I said, I'm going to cover it, or 2 weeks ago. I don't know how long it's been. I said, I'm going to talk about that on the show. So then I got looking at it just now, and I said, I called her. I said, what happened? She said, well, you know, you're so sharp and you connected and then he wasn't interested and now he's not. I was like, oh, she meant he's dead to our business. And then I said, so he's not interested. She said, yeah. And on top of that, he did too much alcohol and drugs and he's dead. I said, so he is dead. She said, he's dead. I said, oh my God, what a nice guy. I'm very upset, 29 years old. And I'm just like, girl. And she's like, I know, Andy. And I was just talking to her. And I was like, now, perspective. I say this sometimes, and I don't know the exact answer to this. Did your self-image go up because you are alive and you still got a shot? Or did the self-image of other people around you come down and now in fact you have a better self-image? I don't know. I just know this. I struggle with my self-image. Does that make sense? We just had a local Elon University football player, all this and everything, graduating, he gone. You can't get them back after they quit. Does that make sense? Now, I got a buddy, Cleve McClary, he's a Marine, and he talks about that. He says, please, if you're going to kill yourself, don't shoot yourself. Because after you pull the trigger, you go, shoot. Wish I hadn't have done that. Just for a split second. Or you jump out of a building from like 30 or 40 stories on the way down, you'd be like, wish I could take that back. Or, you with me? He said, strike out running. Just run yourself to death. Just run and run and run. You'll die. Just don't stop. You'll have a heart attack, you run out of blood, you run out of food, you'll just die. He said, but most of the time you get out there 2 or 3 miles, you'll be like, whew. My wife ain't mean as I was thinking. She has some good qualities. My boss, at least he pays me every week. Sometimes it's late. And my buddy, I know he criticizes me, but at least he'd go shooting the gun with me. Just, you sit down here and get a glass of water or something, sit down beside a tree, and rethink the whole program. Ain't that the truth? People go off the deep end and start destroying their business. They destroy their business because of their emotional despair. Does that make sense? They destroy their college career over emotional despair. Their marriage over emotional despair. Their life. Does that make sense? What I'm telling you is, I am telling you, we are at war against these other problems. If we're at war, you handle it differently than if you're just doing a little hobby. I've got buddies that I'm tight with. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and say this. Adam Katz has been with me for over 25 years. I think maybe pushing 27. Adam turned 50 years old today. How about that? If y'all could text my boy a happy birthday, happy 50. He's been saying for years he was going to get serious when he turned 50. He's going to recommit and start making money when he turned 50. Can you imagine the ups and the downs that we've been through? Can you imagine the crying that we've done, the stabs in the back that we've took, the mistakes that we've made with each other? He's married, I'm married, we got children, can you imagine the uppers and the downers, the excitement, and no jobs, and traveling the world, and flying private jets, and shooting stuff, and and his great-great-great-great-great-granddaddy versus my great-great-great-granddaddy, and the differences in us. It just, all that stuff just blows my mind how we have got along. So, let me tell you another story. So, in Paris, brace yourself. This is a little indifferent. A little different. In Paris, Paris, French people. Okay. I done said something that upset somebody. Now think about this. I done said something that was, I don't want to say the word, I was, say it for me, Russ. I was wrong. I was wrong. Why are you laughing so hard? So I done said something wrong. Yeah, I hit a nerve. I made them mad. I offended. Whatever I did. Okay? Now, for some of you, I know you're going like, he's making up the story because he's perfect. And I feel that vibe, and I appreciate that. I really, that's the love coming through. Thank y'all. Not true, but it's I mean, true story, okay? You follow what I'm saying? So, the offended, the mad, the agitated, the wronged. See, I was wrong and they were wronged. Okay? Text me and said, hey, Bo, you wronged me. I'm offended. I'm wrong. Whatever. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm like, holy crap, what did I say? When did I say it? And were there any outside influences in my life when I did this? let me tell you something. Hurt people hurt people. Does that make sense? And everybody's got courage behind the keyboard and at the bottom of Jack Daniels. Oh, shoot! That's where courage come from. A keyboard, a texter, or a courage bottle. Okay, you with me? So I'm thinking, what was I thinking? What did I say? And I know I was wrong because they're mad. That's how I know I'm wrong. Does that make sense? So what do I say? Oh, God, okay. Whatever I said. Now, you got to be careful because you say, whatever I said, then you go, I didn't say it. I go like, oh, God. Okay? So how are we going to handle this? Am I going to justify? Am I going to explain it? Am I going to put it, it was taken out of context? I'm going to put it into context? So I'm going like, oh, my God, I'm sick. I'm crying. No way. I'm sorry. Whatever. Let's talk. We got to get together. Is that, you with me? Well, it don't matter what I say. Yeah. If I say I'm sorry, I'm stupid, I'm a mistake, I always doing something like this, forgive me, I'm bad, or you take it, better. You take it out of context. You got to understand where I was coming from. You got to see where I was hurting. You got to see this. You ain't listening to me. Listen to how this went down. And you know it's true. Part of it's right, and you part wrong, and I'm part right. Right? So this person goes, we'll talk later. I'm okay. I promise you, I'm okay. I was just offended, or just wronged, or I was just mad, or it's just, whatever it was. They said, in other words, don't get too happy, don't get too sad. He wasn't too sad, but he was upset or disappointed. Does that make sense? Disappointed or displeased. Okay, so boom, yow. Next day, hey man, I'm good. It's over. We all make mistakes. Life's like that. Relationships have bumps. And I'm like, Now I got to deal with his ability not to be offended. Did not help my self-image. The only thing that helps me is knowing that I got people like that around me. Can you imagine how many times that's happened with me and Adam? Cats, 50, that many year relationship. Like, I'm not kidding you. When you see people, cuz. Let's do a cuz. It's not the one you think, though. It's not the time I offended you that's not that time. It's a different time. Okay, so Terry, here's the way it goes. Terry Edwards, come up here. All right, come up here. I'm going to tell you this. I thought about this. So I come up, tell everybody who you are in your world.
All right, Terry Edwards, hired directly by Jason and Olga Mathis, part of the Riddle Group. And Greensboro is my home hot spot.
Smoking hot. Woo!
This is an emotional blemish on my life. Now, me and Cuz go back. This is my first cousin, and he was there. Were you at the hospital when I was born, or at the house when I come home? He was at the house when I was brought home by Marshall, right? And Marshall was in the car, Russell was there waiting. So I know him that long. So you can imagine there's more than one. And I know, I might know a couple that you offended me and you might know, and I might have offended a couple and you might know. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Here's the one that I want to tell you about. I walked up behind him and I said, "What's up, cuz?" And he had rotator cuff surgery. And he went, oh, God, oh, God, oh, and tears were literally dropping down his eyes. And he said, you have to be more considerate. You remember that? Come here. You remember that? You remember that? You remember that? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Did tears come down your eyes?
Yes, they did.
And did you tell me what for?
I told you that was not an appropriate thing to do.
Dude, I don't know if you've ever hit somebody with rotator cuff surgery, but don't do it. Apparently, so, I mean, for years now, I'll come up to him and I'm like, hey, Russell, you know I've done that. And he's like, I'm okay now, so I'm not taking a chances, Bo.
You're thinking about it might be the other one this time.
Right. You hear what I'm saying? But somehow, Cuz is still standing. You with me? I want to ask you something, but I don't even want to. Do you remember a beach deal when I was little bitty, a child? You was trying to teach me a lesson? At least that's the way I remember it. Mic up.
Did it have something with to do with a retainer?
Yes.
You brought that up, and I have no recollection of that in my entire life.
My retainer.
I don't remember it. I do not. But somehow you
But
do
it
vividly.
remembers vividly. Like, and then we all remember, we both remember the conversation where in my Jaguar, and I put somebody else in my front seat, and I turned around, and over the back seat, I give him what for.
Oh, yeah. I remember
Remember that saying sense? Y'all tracking with?
If it had been anybody else, it would have been blows, but because I respected you so much, I went, he's right.
Well,
You were right.
but that's wrong to open my mouth.
But you were right in what you said. Maybe not how you said it.
All right, you sit your ass back down. And, all right, Terry. Everybody makes mistakes. Does that make sense? I let something go to one of Terry's kids. I can let him tell you that, but I don't know if I want to tell you. And we laughed, and everything was great. And then whenever in my mind I was thinking, oh God, a narrow miss right there. Boy, what was you thinking? You're a Wolfpack guy. I should tell you. I should let Tia tell you. She wasn't even there. No, she might still be mad. Come here, Terry. Would you tell him? Yeah. Well, first tell him. Say something good about me first. Like when you first come to my house and we got to be friends.
Oh yeah,
and then
yeah.
what happened?
Yo,
Okay.
oh man, you had it laid out. Jane had all the food out there. Just made us feel real at home. Man, you always been a good dude to me. But so. Oh,
Well, this was good. This was good.
This was good. So
this was good.
So what happened?
You got to imagine how it could be a barely miss.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So what had happened was, Andy was like, hey, we got some tickets to the state game. I want to take you and the boys if y'all are available. No pressure, but if you want to come, it's available to you.
On the floor.
Courtside seats. So he was like, well, look, just meet me off the highway.
4 seats.
Meet me off the highway, and we'll jump on the Range Rover together. So we riding up the highway, me and the boys, to meet Andy, and I'm giving them the talk before we get out the car. I'm like, hey, look at here. Especially little Isaiah, you got to tell him a couple of times. I said, look at here. Act like you done been somewhere before. When we get in this man truck, don't be pushing buttons and stuff. Soon as we got up in Mr. Andy, how this work? The TVs, how does... So we riding down the road, and Andy looked back and said, hey, boys, who y'all pulling for today? Isaiah said, well, I like Carolina. And Andy said, you know you're going to an NC State game, right? And Andy said, well, if you don't like State, you're going to hell. And Isaiah said, Mr. Andy, I'm going to heaven. I got saved at school. Yeah, that was it.
And I was like,
But now they want to go to state.
I think,
been working on them.
I think I actually told him that canceled out. I said, you
Yeah.
can't just, I mean, I understand that happening in school, but I'm just telling you,
Yeah,
it's going to be frowned upon
yeah,
for eternity.
yeah, yeah.
How was the little boy I was talking to?
He was probably 8 or 7.
They going to NC State now.
He said he's going to state and heaven.
Kind of reminds me of a story with Adam Katz.
Well,
Oh, God. I love you, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Okay. Watch this. I got a 42 in class. Mathematics class. Oh, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. So I go to the instructor, and I explained to her the answer is correct on a couple of them. She said, you didn't show your work. I said, I don't know how to do the in-between stuff, but I knew what the answer was. And she said, well, that cost you this much. So I went to the head of the department. So I'm a kid. I go to the head of mathematics. And I saw Miss Know-It-All, Miss B. He said, I know her. My daughter took her for a class and said she was one of the best instructors at NC State. I says to myself, I need not to say too much about this lady. You understand what I'm saying? The head of the department's daughter had a good experience. Shocker! Shocker! So I'm thinking, this could get worse. You know, you think it can't always, you know what I mean? Like it can't get worse. And I'm thinking to myself, self, shut up. That sounds like it pretty good too. Just want to see if there's anything I could do to help you around the office or, does that make any sense? The ability, because I still think she's wrong. I still remember that. I was very upset. I explained it to her, but I didn't explain it to him because I was like, this would be stupid for me to tell him. People say there's no stupid question. There's stupid questions. You can go down the wrong road. It's my buddy in Paris' ability to get back on track. Does that make sense? The ability, like, all right, got a 42. First of all, there's going to be a curve, and there's some idiots in here with me. That's what I need to think about. And I got to do better on the next test. Does that make sense? I got to figure out how to make up some stuff that look like I know the in-between stuff, because I don't know how I knew it's kind of like when I do when I show the plan, you know, you just multiply it times 5, multiply it times 6, and that's how much money you make. It's not exactly the right number, but it's all over it. You know what I'm talking about? It's so close to the right answer, but they want you to show your work. And so I'll say, I got to get back on track. The ability to get up and get back on track. Attitude and action. You with me? I can't do anything, but I got to get back on track, and I don't want to blow my brains out. Does that make sense? I don't want to get kicked out of school. I don't want the head of the department and the teacher against me. Does that make sense? I don't want my other friends to take me. I don't think I told nobody. I was just like, I got to get a better grade. Does that make? I know he's telling my mama. My mama's still shocked I'm in college. You know what I'm saying? That's bizarre. Okay. The ability to get back on track is more my skill set. Is it Joseph? It's more my skill set than staying on track. Does that make sense? My skill set getting back on the horse as opposed to staying on the horse. You say, well, you'd be cool. Let me explain something to you. Skiing has never been a challenge for me. Stopping has been a challenge. I did it twice, about died both times. I mean, 2 different events. So went down the hill 1 time, 2 times, about died the first time, and the second time I did it, life, it's getting back on the horse. Skiing, forget it. I had no problem staying on the horse. It's just the landing part is killing me. I give it up. If you're good at it, God bless you. Does that make sense? In this business, my ability to get back up and keep fighting. Does that make sense? And not shoot the person that knocked me down. Not shoot my friends. I just think of so many times where people said, what is she trying to accomplish? I said, she's trying to stay broke. She's trying to stay down. She's trying to take somebody with her. Does that make sense? He's trying to stay broke. He's trying to stay miserable. He's trying to find somebody to stay broke and miserable with him. Does that make sense? I don't need you with me broke. Does that make sense? I am going to find people that want to succeed with me. I'm not about shooting myself in my foot. Does that make any sense? That's what my boy, by the way, the guy makes a lot of money. Okay. Oh, hey, great news. Great news for two people. These are Shannon Barnhart and whoever she picks to be a buddy. She picks whoever she wants to, and we don't typically let puppies or doggies go. And her household is pets and her. And she's got a lot of friends, but they don't live there with her. She just got the dogs there. And let me tell you something. If we said you could take them, no, Shannon, you can't take the dogs. Whoever she wants to take, she took her assistant, sidekick, staff last time, and she had a blast, and she was fun hanging out with. So Shannon Barnhart is going with us to Alaska on a cruise. Congratulations, Shannon. And Marcus and Carla Richardson, again, are headed with us to Alaska. You are invited. There's a 100% chance that you can earn this trip. It is not a win it. It's a earn it, because a win it is like I had a shot, I had a chance. No, you earn it. As many people as earn it, go. We know we're going to have record numbers this year. We would encourage you not to be one of them that's left out. We also send out T-shirts, a portfolio to people once they've issued 10 policies. That is your goal when you hire people, to get them to issue 10. Because if they can issue 1, you know they can issue 2. If they can issue 2, they can issue 10. If they can do 10, they can do 10,000. Well, Adam Katz had Jose Martinez earned the power of 10. Kyle Cater had Letitia. How are you going to say that? Letitia Darraville. Thank you. Who was saying that? Letitia Darraville. Thank you. Ed Soto had Leona Johnson. In our base shop, Sonia Valadares. James Coleman had Simon Hobson. Jeremy Patton had Teresa Perkins. And Adam Katz had Victoria Lee earn the power of 10 this week. So these are people that you look to do something big. Oh, I did want to tell you this too. Top producers in the country. We were having a conversation in Paris, and it's always, if you're up close to the top, once you're in the game, you got a shot at winning, right? Yeah. So you look at the top producers. I said that Michelle Alleman and Sarge Wilson were leading the country, and I got them up in front of everybody, and Brant Swindell was looking funny, and a couple other people like, they're not winning. I was like, I think they are. So this is the way we did it. On points to Alaska and points to an extension in Seattle, leading the country with points is currently Robert Sarge Wilson with 168,000 points. Right behind Sarge is Mark Hutchinson. Right behind Mark is Minerve Profil, and then Brant Swindell. Okay, now listen to this. Here's to me when it gets crazy. Michelle Alleman, right? Has anybody heard of Megan Alleman? Oh, yeah. Megan Alleman is ranked number 5 in the country, and Michelle is ranked number 6 in the country. I don't know how they figured this out, but Shannon Barnhart number 7, Marcus Richardson 8, Will DeSanto is number 9, and James and Jane Hill is number 10. So that's who leading the country in points, just so we clear it up. And you barely missed at number 11. We're not going to read. Barely missed at number 12, but good people. Okay, all right. Oh, by the way, watch this. What if I said something wrong, offended this person, okay? This hierarchy right here. What if he goes and talks to somebody in your group and says, Andy offended me, and I'm thinking about shooting him. I'm thinking about quitting, and I think you should too. Why would he go under you, Chris, and try to destroy your life? Hurt people hurt people. So I hurt him, So he's going to hurt Chris. Because if he can't get to me, he's going to get to Chris. Try to do as much damage. Is this making any sense? So I get a bad grade in class, so I go talk to other people and I say, here's what we're going to do to her. And I'm thinking, this is not going to help my situation. Is this making any sense? Okay. There's so many little stories I want to get at. Oh, God. All right. So this guy says to me, he says, I'm talking to my two buddies. This is my staff, ABTF, people that try to copy me. Be careful of this in all your groups. Watch this. This guy says to me, these two people, actually texted me, these two people that said no yesterday to everything, they were not about calling leads, not about going to nobody's house, not about it, said no. And I told him, don't worry about that, good people, just stay with them, they're sharp. The second day, he said, hey, I talked to him again today, and I told him, I said, can I talk to you about an IUL, Index Universal Life, and a retirement strategy? They said, sure, be very open to that. I said, I went over there and talked to one of them, and I showed it to him. He said, look, if you got your license, you get your commission, and you can tell other executives like you, he said he's fired up out of his mind. And then he says, so I got so excited, I went to talk to the other guy, and I told him the same thing. He's fired up out of his mind. This guy's been around for a while, is my buddy that's texting me. Then he says, I hope this is not offending you and I'm doing anything wrong. And I'm thinking, why could I possibly be offended? What could possibly be wrong about this? Right? So I said, call me. Phone rings. I said, what are you talking about? He said, I was told by one of your lieutenants that I need to buy leads, sell mortgage protection, sell final expense, and if I could do some IULs on the side, but I would be accused of not following the system. I said, really? 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 I said, let's break it down. We want to sell insurance. We want to get other people to sell insurance, and we want to get them to get other people to sell insurance. Are we clear? Yeah. He said, well, this is what the joker said to me, and he told me the Green Book says. I said, the Green Book don't. Yeah, the Green Book says that we do leads. Yes, yes, yes. But the Green Book, I know it says it in there. I know it's up in there. Does that blow your mind? Yeah. It's happening elsewhere. If it happened to him, it's happening to somebody else. Yeah. Let's keep this stuff simple and clear what we're trying to do. Okay? Oh, I got another one. Did I see Jane Hill? Is she in here? Or James, did I hear from them? Who's my top salesperson in here? Who's give me somebody that's writing over 10 grand. Raise your hand if you're writing over 10 grand, stand. Terry? Anybody else? You writing over 10 grand a month, Toby and Stephanie? 15? 15, Mia? Come here, real quick. I want to tell y'all something. This is for my guy, this is my numbers thing. Activity. Nick, tell them who you are and who you hired by, please.
I'm Nick Griffin. I was hired by Chris and Courtney Long, and we're part of the Riddle hierarchy.
Okay, good stuff. And same.
Hi, I'm Mia Fennell. I was hired by Terry and Tia Edwards, a part of Riddle's group as well.
Okay. Billy, could you get me a white sheet up or a gray sheet where I can write some numbers up? Okay. The first thing you want to keep track of is how many phone calls you make. When a day that you're making phone calls, about how many dials will you make in an hour?
About 45.
About 45 in an hour. Do you have any idea? Mic up high.
About 45, 50.
45 or 50. Terry?
50, Alex.
50, Alex. So, if you make 75 phone calls in a day, about how many hours have you probably worked? 1.5. Maybe 1.5 hours. Is that a day's work? Does that make sense? I'm not mad. I just want you to understand. It's pressing numbers. Let me explain to you one of the biggest misconceptions. Y'all come over here. Biggest misconceptions in life. They think that the more interesting you are is because you're varied. No. Michael Jordan, the golfer guy, what's his name? Tiger. Name any of them. They're golfers. Does that make sense? And then people say, well, I heard that you shouldn't work on your weakness. You should only work on your strengths. He's a golfer. His weakness is the sand game. He has to work on the sand game because it's the weakest part of his golf. He's not working on his violin. He's not working on his memorization of the NFL Heisman. I don't know. You with me? You know what I mean? He don't know the record of any NFL player. He's not working on his tackling, blocking and tackling. Does that make sense? You would be surprised how focused successful people are, and they become famous because of the mundane work. I about lost it one time at dinner. I did lose it, crying. I couldn't quit crying. I was sitting, and older people it might mean something too. This girl named Mary Lou Retton. People say, what is she known for? Some people say feminine products. I said, what are you talking about? She made hundreds of millions of dollars because of that. She was a gymnast. Y'all know who Gabby is? Gabby that won it? Let me explain to you. So let me make sure you understand what first one I said, Mary Lou Retton. So after that, she won these gold medals, and she actually was on advertisement female products. I mean, people never knew who she was except for that, and she made millions. Does this make any sense? She did the mundane, but when she hit, I was in London when Gabby won a gold medal. And I'm freaking out crying because I loved Mary Lou Retton because I was a little bitty kid. Now I'm an adult with millions, and I'm seeing this girl raise her hand, and I'm thinking, how many times did she skip TV? Like, who skips TV? Who skips bitching around the water cooler? Who skips complaining about where they've been wronged? She does these silly routines. I call them silly because I can't do them. Anything you can't do silly, right? So she's doing these routines over and over. But when she does it for the gold medal, you would think that she's ecstatic about turning a flip. Does that make sense? Look at here. Stand right over here. This is 75 times. Why do you quit doing it? Because I can't hit the bar, the atmosphere is not right. Any excuse will do. Any reason will do. This is called mundane. Why do most people fail? My daddy told me, he said, at NC State, get up in there and go to class. Most people get flunked out because they don't go to class. I was like, how would you know? He's like, I quit because my daddy called me to come home and farm. I was like, yeah, well, whatever. He's like, you got to go to class. I said, all right, I'll go to class. That's it? He said, well, pay attention, but the main thing is go. The main thing is you got to dial. Does that make sense? Okay. In 1 hour, if you talk to 45, or if you talk to 35, you talk to 50, typically, how many people pick up? So here's the way we do it. It's dials, and then it's contacts. Then it's appointments. Do you have any idea?
I would say for me, in 45 days, I should book about 4 to 5 appointments.
Book 4 to 5. How many contacts?
Anywhere between 6 and 10.
6 to 10. Okay? That's expected. People aren't picking up. That's expected. What if you only have 4? That's expected. What if you have 12? That's expected. I'm an engineer. It's called standard deviation.
That's it.
Ding dong head. And people say to me, I'm just not a salesperson. I go, I'm an engineer. I'm not an idiot. Does that make sense? Engineers know standard deviation. Does that make sense? Meaning, this is standard. Standard deviation looks like this right here. More times it's going to be here. Sometimes it's going to be there. Sometimes it's going to be there. If you did this room, it works like that. You got a median age, you got old people, you got young people. Does that make sense? Yeah. Hello! People get this, and they run naked through the streets. Like, calm down. Right. Tomorrow you're going to get that. Right. And you're going to want to shoot yourself. On average, it's going to be here. Get your clothes back on and put the gun up. Does that make any sense? You're just dialing the damn number. If they pick up, they pick up. They don't pick up, they don't pick up. Now, I got more news for you. Let's say it's a fresh lead and it's insanely expensive because nobody's ever called it. Is it more likely they'll pick up if you have 10 brand new leads? Duh! What if the leads are 3 years old and he had them and she had them and he had them? They ain't picking up. You say, well, then I want the better leads. Bring the money. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like, this stuff is not, it's not trial and error. I am telling you how to become a multimillionaire. It's not without a shadow of a doubt. 100% guaranteed, live a lifestyle that people will think you're a drug dealer. I don't want people to think I'm a drug dealer. Well, quit smoking it. Follow that? You keep smoking that shit and get rich, they're going to think you're a drug dealer for sure. Does that make sense? So, older leads, I tell you something else. You call them at terrible times, like 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. 9:30 to 11:30. Not likely. You call them at 6:15, 7:15, 8:15. You with me on the way to work? 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It's just more likely. Does that make sense? Saturday mornings. Hello. Start with the cell phone too first. Then I would go cell phone, work phone, home. That'd be my order. It just increases your odds. Have you heard all this before? Yes. Okay. All right. All right, so let's do this. I want to give you another one. This guy's got 75 leads. So leads, this is my buddy. He's got 75 leads. True story. All right. He went the first time and he found out that one was at the northern part of the county, one was at this part of the county, and this part of the county. Okay? Does that make sense? 75 leads. So he pulled out the 27 leads and he starts calling that area. What would you do if you decided you were going to book this area in the morning and this area in the afternoon? Does this make sense? By the way, I'm teaching, this is one of my buddies, but I hope this applies to somebody else too. Okay? How many times, you had 27 leads, and you're going to book that for, like if you're calling today, Wednesday, and you're going to call this morning for tomorrow morning in this area, how many phone calls do you guess you would make to those 27 leads? Just guess.
I'm going to call each of those numbers 3 times.
Each of those numbers 3 times?
That's correct.
Okay, come on. Each of the numbers. Yes. So if it's got home phone, work phone, cell phone, how many times will you call that lead?
I'm going to call each of those, 9 times.
3, 6, 9. Mm-hmm. 1 lead. Right. Then you're going to go to the next lead. If it only has 1 number, you're going to call it 3 times. Mm-hmm. Does this make sense? Okay. If you're going to do that in the morning and you're calling, you say, I'm going to call from 9 a.m., I'm going to call from 8 a.m. till noon, 4 hours. I'm going to call these here. What if you get through those 27 and you've dialed 165 times and you've only booked 1 appointment? What are you going to do?
I'm not going to go to that area.
You're not going to go to that area?
No.
You got 1 appointment?
Right.
Okay, this is information. Okay, now I'm saying you've called for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. You've got 2 more hours to call. Mm-hmm. You've called all through them. Are you going to go through them again?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to call again until I book more appointments. I will do another dial session that day.
Okay, follow something. You 2 hours. You've called from 8. You've called from 8 to 10 mm-hmm. and 10 to 12. So you're going to call the whole time. Yes. You've called a half time. You've only booked 1. Mm-hmm. And okay, here's what my buddy did. He made 55 phone calls to those 27 and then said, I didn't have anything to do. He said, I'm not kidding. He was frustrated and it was boring. And out of 55 people, only 8 picked up, booked 0. No, I'm sorry, 55 dials. But that's 27 leads. So 27 leads, 8 picked up. First of all, if 27 leads, 8 picked up, I think that is through the roof. Give him the mic. Does this make sense? Tell them.
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I made 55 dials
On 27 leads.
and 27 leads and 8 picked up,
Right.
first of all, I'm fired up out my mind.
Okay,
Now-
so watch this. This is mundane. This is who knows, you can't control it.
Right.
This is aptitude.
Right.
This is skill.
Right.
This is skill.
That's right.
Talk to 8, book none, that's skill.
Right.
So we can work on skill.
That's right.
But can you be mad because nobody picked up?
No, can't control that.
We not only can we control it, our numbers were good.
Right.
Is this making sense?
Right.
My question is, could he have kept calling right here? I mean, this is only first of all, in 2 hours, only making 55 phone calls. Don't get me
He
wrong.
done fixed a sandwich. He done went to the bathroom, watched a little TV.
You think he done something else?
Yeah.
Maybe he's been studying,
Uh-huh.
reading, or listening to audios.
Uh-huh. On NAU.
Okay, my buddy's grinning like crazy. You know, he's like, "You being mean to me." I go, "Nobody knows who you are. Don't raise your hand." But does this make sense?
Yeah.
We got to get him to understand
Right.
this is the way the system works. By the way, he was going to call again from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night, or say 7 to 10. You with me? Frustrated here, didn't do there. By the way, 27, remember he had 75.
Right.
27 were down here.
Right. What about that?
But he's got another 50 right there
Right.
that he could jump on.
Right.
But in his mind, 55 dials is a lot of dials. Let's make sure everybody knows what a dial is.
That's right.
Because like this, some people, can you define dial? What defines a dial? Give me a definition of a dial.
When you press the green button.
When you press the green button. What is a dial?
When you press the green button.
When you press the green
Press it.
button.
So you dial the number and you hit the green button, that's a dial.
So you press the enough numbers.
Right. You the 10 digits or
You got to
7,
press 10 digits.
right, and then hit the green button.
And hit the green button.
That's a dial.
I would say you got to hit the digits.
Okay.
That's just me.
That's good. That's a good idea right there.
Hit the 10 digits necessary to make another phone ringy.
That's right.
That constitutes a dial.
Right.
My question, rings 3 times, you hit the red button. Hang up after 3.
Uh-huh.
Then you hit the what button?
Redial.
Does that constitute a dial?
They do.
Okay, they don't pick up, you hit it again. Does that constitute a dial?
Yes.
Yes. You should then move to a different phone number on the
right.
same lead and press the digits required to make it ring. That counts as a dial. Because some people don't know what a dial is. So you got to get down to the basics. Does that make sense? The 5th one goes like that. We call that a haystack.
That's right.
That's just for easier counting later on. Does that make sense? So then when you start another haystack, okay,
That's right.
another dial. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
You keep track. If your people, here's another thing. Oh, this is advanced training, but I want to do it. I want to do it. This is you, Terry, and this is my trainer. Works for me, and they're giving your person leads. You're having an override cost, and they just keep giving them 20 leads, 15 leads, 13 leads, 14 leads, 62 leads. Your money's stacking up. They're not selling. They need to quit that. Does that make sense?
Right.
Because if you give them 20, we need to inspect their dials, their connects, and their appointments before we send them more leads.
That's right.
Does that make sense? Because if he's not working these leads, because people will fool you and say, I worked them and I couldn't get anything out of them.
Right.
Let me tell you something. That's unlikely. It's unlikely. Does that make sense?
Right.
They probably need more coaching, not more money. Probably need more motivation, not more money. So that's something else my buddy told another buddy. He was like, hey man, I'm telling you, he said, these people giving them leads, they need to back off because they got enough money already to get something. And with 8, we need to do some coaching, some interactive coaching on how to book appointments. In other words, you talk to 8 people. What do you think? Come over here. What would you say? Just guess. What's a person doing if they talk to 8 and they don't book appointments? Just give me some. I guess I bet this is what they're doing wrong.
Well, they sound like a telemarketer, all right?
They probably sound like a telemarketer.
Or either when they get an objection, they're agreeing with them. They believe the client. And the client job...
He's a believer.
Yeah. The client job is to stop you from getting over there. Your job is to get up over there.
He's telling himself the wrong story.
Right.
Here's the story that he needs to be telling himself. I'm getting ready to go into a game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to find out when he's home. He's going to try to trick me into he ain't never going to be home.
That's right.
He's trying to get me to give up and hang up a phone. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get him to give up and give me a time.
That's right.
The story is it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Oh, the other part of the story is I get bonus points if I don't make them mad or offend them.
That's right.
I get stars and ding, ding. Like, have you ever seen things where you reply back and it goes, ding, ding, ding?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's if you make them laugh.
That's right.
If I make them laugh on the phone, what do you think they might be wrong? Your experience, people you've been training, what's some of the things that they've done wrong?
I guess the way you talk, you can either make them have objections or not have any. The way
You're causing objections? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I got that from you a couple weeks ago.
Causing objections.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
What are they probably doing wrong?
They're too nervous, and it's coming through to the client. Like they don't know what they should be doing.
How do you not get nervous? How do you get over that?
You know what Rebecca Lixie said?
What
She
did Rebecca
said,
Lixie
dial
say?
with your avatar. So my avatar's name is Lena. So when Lena is dialing,
Done brought out Lena!
when Lena is dialing, the client is not getting mad at Mia. The client is getting mad at Lena. And Lena's job is, like Terry said, just to overcome that objection and still get in the house.
This is called aptitude. Does that make sense? Action is where you keep doing the mundane. Aptitude is when you call somebody and say, what am I doing wrong? And then you take more action. And then attitude is when you don't blame the world. You're willing to work through the boring. You're willing to get up when somebody tells you junk and they tell you how bad you are. Unless you're using an avatar, then you know they were talking to Lena and not you. But it's an attitude protection strategy. It's an attitude protection. Does that make sense? Is that Ron right there? What's up, bud? All right. So I combine these three things, attitude, aptitude, and action, with the mathematics of experienced people. Watch this, who gets less than 40 typically in an hour? Anybody less than 40? Ron, how many hour you get? 35. Anybody else? She's within standard deviations. Sir, what's your name? Greg, what do you get? 35. Let me tell you who ain't gonna get better. Who don't know their numbers. So I don't know. I just hard to play baseball. You don't know your batting average.
That's right.
That's the problem. You don't know what order you hit. You're third batter up. You got to pay attention to that. They've been skipped you, which causes all kinds of problems. I think called technical or something for that. I don't know what they do. You tracking with me? Yeah. Mathematics matter. Statistics matter more than the how sweet and slick and all this you are. I am telling you, I've read this, studied this. This is guaranteed. I'm not asking you to do something I haven't done. I'm asking you to do what I have done. And let me tell you something to you. You can argue with me about a lot of things, but you can't take away, I done it.
That's right. That's right.
I done got you jet.
That's right.
Does that make sense? I done been to 65 or 70 countries. I done got the floor seats at NC State. I done call FaceTime Kevin Keats, the NC State coach, and put him on FaceTime because I'm recruiting the number 4 8th grader in the country and his mama, and I'm trying to get him stirred up, and he's talking crazy to me, and I'm laughing. You with me? I done it. I done carried basketball coaches, football. I done flipped the coin at NC State. Does that make sense? Yeah. You say, well, you might lose tomorrow. Yeah, you will, but you won't take it a fact. You can't take away the fact I done it. Does that make sense? Now, I ain't telling you how to keep it. I'm telling you how to get it. I might lose it, but I know how to get it back because I done it. Does that make sense? I am telling you, You can argue with my mouth. You can argue with my mistakes. You might like my beard. You might think I dye my hair, but I don't. I went out to get me a trees at a drugstore, and I saw that men only. I said, I could make this black too if I wanted to. But you can't argue with the fact that I got back up. You can't argue with my relationships over the last 25 years. Does that make sense? They can take it away, but you can't take away the fact I done laid the diamonds on my wife. Is that you can't take away I done paid for my kids' college education, master's degree, and her wedding. Does that make sense? And bought her a rolls to help out her business. You can't argue with that. It can all go away tomorrow. I ain't saying that. What I'm telling you, what done, you can't argue with. Does that make sense? And I am telling you, it's more mathematics than it is skill set. It is more staying level than it is getting excited. It's more staying level than it is being depressed. It's getting back on the horse. Does that make sense? It's getting back up. All right. Skill set, you talked about aptitude. How good were your numbers? How bad were your numbers when you first started?
Oh God, I was horrible. I was so bad. When I first started, I think I would make probably 50 dials, talk to maybe 14
50
people.
in what amount period of time?
Probably 3 hours. Because I was trying to do everything I could to avoid dialing in the very beginning. And I would talk to maybe 10 people and would maybe book 2, maybe.
How about you? What were your numbers?
Terrible. I think I did like 180 dials, booked like 2 or 3 appointments. Like probably 8 contacts.
8 contacts,
Yeah.
booked 2. Have you ever talked to 8 and not booked any?
No.
You don't think so? Have you ever done that?
Not that I can remember, no.
How about you, Terry? I'm allergic to that. You allergic to that? So my boy talked to 8, didn't book none. What does he need to do? Work on his phone script. Work on his phone script. No offense. One of my, I love this person. I love this person, great person, like miracle worker, genius. Said to my guy, maybe, listen to this. This is an example. Said to my guy, maybe you should get a different phone number. That way more people will pick up out of 57 calls. I was like, whoa. You with me? You follow what I'm saying? It's like, no. 8 picking up, that's not the problem. Because now we got to wait for him to go get a phone, get a number, don't plant a seed of doubt. That's not the problem. I'm a mathematic person. That's not the problem. The problem is 0 for 8. The problem, 55 got me 8. If he did 250, he'd have talked to 8, 40. He'd have talked to 40. You say if he went 440, he might quit. I told him, you missed 3, you call me. Does that make sense? If you can't get me, you wait. Go read something. Go meditate. Exercise. Do push-ups. Don't quit. Don't get a gun. Call me. Call me. And then I got to say, all right, what happened on each of them? And I got to try to get him better. Then misses on 3 more. Got to talk to Chris Long. Got him on to talk to a cuz. Got to get him on the phone with Mia. Does that make sense? This stuff is simple. We don't do A for 8 without talking to somebody and going, what am I doing wrong? I suck. Does that make sense? Now, but if he gets 1 out of 8, we got to celebrate. 2 out of 8, we got to celebrate. But the next 8, is this making sense? This is a mathematical equation. Now, good news is you don't have to be 6'10". Good news is you don't have to jump that high. Good news is you don't have to throw a ball 95. In other words, the God-given talent for me is getting back up. I'm asking you who can't get back up. And somebody say it hurts too hard, it's emotional. How about like this one? My situation is different. I go, let me get this straight. You're thinking me and her are different. You're thinking me and him are different. Let me explain to you. Me and her are different. Shake his head. We're different. Tell him. Just tell him a couple things different. Just tell him. Just so
Like
you
the
understand.
obvious.
Yeah. That's good enough. That's good enough right there. Whoa! Is this making sense? You're saying your case is different? You're saying your case is different. Now, wait a minute. Let me get my jaw back off the ground. Because I had no idea you were a different age than me. I had no idea a different waist size than me. I had no idea you had different parts than I got. I didn't even know that. Tell me about your situation. And I go, wow, he, ha, do, dee, da. How about we get back on the horse? Does that make sense? I mean, I'm not kidding you. It's like seriously, let's get back on a horse. Can we do that? You tracking up in here? We've had this conversation, haven't we? Yeah. Okay. Oh God. This is different, but y'all listen to this. Y'all step here and listen to this. What do you feel worse about? You talk to a person, you help them, you give them your heart, time away from your wife, take them away from your kids, time away from Scrabble, time away from Jeopardy, time away from Law and Order, and you give to them and you give to them. You get up from the dinner table and your kid's in the middle of a story and you get up in the middle of it and talk to them, and then they quit on you and you just like, God, they were the wrong person. Why was I wasting time with them? Whose butt you want to kick worse, theirs or yours? Okay, hold on, because this is going to take a twist on you. Hold on. What if, how mad are you at yourself? How mad are you at yourself? Okay, let me give you another option, Armante. You give to a person and you give to a person. You take time away from Scrabble, time away from fishing, time away from hunting, time away from, don't stop that, time away from fishing, hunting, drinking beer. You take time away from beer and you give to them and you give to them. And they're perfectly capable of making it big, and they stop. Which one makes you madder? You talking to a person and you shouldn't have been talking to them, or if you're talking to a person and you're all up in their face because you know they're capable, but they get offended. What do you matter about? I was talking to the wrong person, or I'm talking to a person that's capable and they don't do it. My mama said, you know what burns my butt? She don't say butt though. A fire about that high. And unused potential. Unused potential. A wasted life. Does that make sense? Come on, man. I wish we could get that Blake guy back. That was his name. I wish we could get him back. Like, he was too busy doing everything, but he wasn't too busy. Does that make sense? He wasn't busy. He couldn't take a drink and a little bit of drugs at the same time. He wasn't too busy for that. But he was too busy to do this. And I get that. I understand the lure. Hey, you with me? Is this making sense? Which one makes you madder? You talking to a person and they shoot themselves in the foot, they blow the relationship, they blow the business, they try to take other people out. Or you talk to a person, they're fairly capable. All they got to do is, so wait a minute, Andy, did you just tell me that anybody could do this that didn't quit? Anybody could keep the relationship? Anybody can grow? What am I going to get mad about? I'm going to be mad. What am I going to be mad about? What are you going to be excited about? Listen, let me tell you this. I can't waste time worrying about either one. What I'm talking about? I can't waste time worrying about either one. I got to find somebody going to do this. Like I got it. I got to talk to somebody else. I love you, you're capable, but you ain't doing it. I love you, I talked to you, and I shouldn't have been wasting my time. I love you, you're capable. What difference does it make? A no is a no. Is this making sense? So what we got to do is, we got to look inside 99.99999% of the time and say, what do I got to do differently? What I got to do is focus on the positive. What I got to do is focus on tomorrow. Is this making sense? I'll grab a seat. I got to do something else real quick right here. Give him a hand. Good job. All right. Okay. Jeff Bright, are you still in the house? All right. Jeff helped me a lot with this. I want you to come up here and take about 15 minutes, Jeff. Come on up. Give him a hand. 6 o'clock. I want you to take about 12, 14 to start, but drop dead at 15. A little less, but give him some. So I called him and I told him these 3 things, and he said, blah, 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 blah. His joker went to work. So for the analytical, here we go.
Okay, all right.
You talk, I'll write.
You go right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's write attitude. Below that, aptitude and action. So let's break this down.
All right.
So
Attitude, aptitude, action.
which one do you think is the easiest to obtain? I just
By
point.
easy, what do you mean exactly?
I point.
Aptitude. Training, education, that's the easiest to obtain.
Spent-
Anybody can learn.
Obtain, yeah. I mean, I spent 31 years at the college transferring aptitude, right? You know, so people came to me. Now, what would aggravate me, like he said, I'd have an A student, because I could tell I had an A student, but they gave me C effort. They ended up with a B, you know. And then I have basically the other situation, a C student, which that was 90% of my students. But they wanted to be A students. I liked that student. You know? They didn't have the aptitude, but it was my job to put that in them. And that's what I got degrees in. That's what I did. Now, I couldn't fix that attitude. I wanted to fix it, and the only way I could fix it is to throw them out. Send them to or in high school, you send them to the principal's office to give them demerits or whatever for not doing right. But that don't fix it, really. So let's just look how we can get people to take action. We have to reconcile two things, attitude and aptitude. And attitude, what do we got to reconcile to get people's attitude right? The will. The will. What you got to reconcile to get people's aptitude right is the can. You understand when I say will and can? I got to get people to say, I will do something. That's all attitude. I can do it is all aptitude. Does that make sense? All right? So attitude is all about finding your why. Because you've heard all these books, what they're all say, start with why. So we're going to start with why.
Shocking, a lot of those hadn't heard those.
They've never heard this book before.
Nope. They don't know.
Simon Sinek wrote a book called, there's several books about why, start with why. And what that's
Why?
about is trying to find your purpose. So attitude is motive driven. Motive driven. Aptitude is all about trying to increase your capacity, and it's measure driven. I sit at his office trying to find M's today, right? Because I think it sounds better to have 3 M's. So I got a third M coming, Chris. Action is meaning. It's all about meaning. And it's motion driven. So I've got to get your motives right. Then I've got to make you understand that we can measure this thing, and then you'll take action, and you'll get forward motion. You won't keep going backwards.
Motion, measure, motives, measure, and motion. Attitude, aptitude, action.
So we have purpose,
See how he's like a school teacher?
capacity, and meaning. So attitude, what do we mean by purpose?
I say get your butt back on the horse.
A lot of people
He's got
don't know,
formulas.
if they don't know who they are, they're not, see, what they're struggling with attitude is something to be. Everybody's looking for something to be. And if we don't give them something to be, that means they've got to get their identity worked out in their head. They got to find fit in this world. They have not yet found fit, so therefore they can't find their purpose. So we got a lot of people looking for their purpose in the wrong places. Namely,
Country song right there.
gangs.
That's a country song right there, Bo.
Unfortunately, he's probably right.
I've got
He was
friends
making me listen to country music. It's
Whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues. Oh,
it's amazing.
it'll be okay.
It's amazing that I even wrote this down because he had country music playing while I was trying to think. He did it on purpose.
So purpose
Yeah. So
leads to, there was another P.
purpose or your why is attitude. Aptitude is your capacity.
Capacity.
And so if attitude is something to be,
Oh,
And you're trying to find out who you are. Aptitude is finding out the way that you can reconcile this. How am I going to get it done? Something to
How?
apply. Here's the thing about aptitude. There's a problem with aptitude that I've always run into. I can teach you 2 + 2 all day long, right?
That's the how.
That's the how. I can teach you how to add. But in this business, it's not just about how to add. It's about expectation. So what
right.
aptitude gives you is a way to accept expectation because you have to understand the expectation to accept it.
The numbers.
You have to understand how this works before you will accept the expectation of $50 an hour.
That's just the math. How in the works.
See how that works? Yeah.
How.
That's why aptitude's important. You got to understand the expectation before you accept the expectation. I have a lot of people who used to tell me in class, they go, Mr. Bright, I'm just not that smart. We were talking about their aptitude. I said, your aptitude's it's right here, but if you stick with me, you don't leave me, you don't drop today, I'm going to teach you some sociology. You don't learn the 4 theories. By God, I'm going to put it in your head. You'll never forget it if you just stick with me. And they'll go, Mr. Bright, I ain't that smart. I was talking aptitude, they took me back to attitude. See how they did that? You're not careful, you'll be talking aptitude, people will take you right back to an attitude. And they'll play that woe is me card. I cannot stand that. Woe is me.
Hey, I'm different. My situation's different. You don't know my history. You don't know what I've been through. And you couldn't understand it if I told you. Because you ain't a redneck.
He's right. This whole thing about wanting to be, see that wanting to be different because people want to be special, they want to be unique. If they realize, this is terrible, that we're all just a gnat on the ass of life. Now, there's a country.
That's good stuff right there. That's my kind of teaching right there.
I could never say that at the college. I got fired. But today,
Can you imagine telling kids that? He wanted to.
I wanted to. It just came out. I'm the gnat, you're the gnat, and everybody's special. But as Tim would say, if he was here to make this better, he would say, we all matter. We all matter.
You matter.
Because you're a divine spark. You have you can look in people's eyes, you can see that divine spark. But that doesn't mean you're special. It doesn't mean you're the exception to the rule. That's what we're talking about here.
Hey, it's not this special here, and it's not this special here. You're not all that in a cup of iced tea, and you're not worse off. Does that make sense? It's standard deviation, bro. So you're 2 standard deviations off on this side, and I'm 3.5 standard deviations. Does that make sense?
Let's look at the action then. So we talked about who am I is the attitude. How am I is the aptitude. And action is what am I, which provides meaning. Which attitude is something to be, aptitude is something to apply, and action is something to do. You're never going to accept that.
I knew that's what you were going to say. I got it.
You're never going to do the do until you reconcile the will and the can. The will and the can. Now there's 2 types of people out there. I'm this first type. I will, therefore I can. There's another type that I used to deal with. I can, therefore I will. Now I'm not making fun of the second type, but you're waiting on a sign if you're that second type. I'm not waiting on a sign. I'm going to jump in the deep end and I'm going to let my can catch up with my will. I'm going to take initiative before I worry about my ambition. I'm going to set goals after I jumped in. My goal is to get out of the deep end now. But if you sit there and figure out, hey, I got to take all these swimming lessons before I even jump in the deep end, you may never jump in the deep end. But I'm not making fun of you second types. There's plenty of you out there. I'm just telling you I'm that first type. So that is motion driven. Action is all about forward motion and sustaining that. I can get people to take action all day long, but I want them to sustain that action. That's the trick. We get a lot of people in this business make dials, and they come out of the chute really great. Then I don't ever see them again. I miss them. I don't ever see them. I see them at family reunion. I don't ever see them again.
Shooting stars.
Yeah, they talk big talk. See, I want you to stay around.
Don't quit.
Yeah, I do. I really do.
If we
I'll
hang
miss you
around,
if
we'll
you're
shut
not
the city
here.
down. It's like snowflakes. If they hang around, they'll shut the city down. But if one melts and another one melts, we ain't going to be that powerful storm. We ain't going to be talked about like that storm that shut the whole city down. Each snowflake matters, like a gnat on a giraffe.
So here's another.
Something contradictory about that, boss.
Yes. Here's another way to remember this. Attitude is all about your drive. Aptitude is all about your discipline. And action is all about routine. So if you can reconcile your drive and your discipline, it will make it easier to master the mundane, which is another word for routine.
Drive, discipline, routine.
Yeah. You get the proper attitude, you'll have drive. If you get some aptitude, I mean, you know what? I didn't learn a whole lot when I went to college, but I learned how to show up to class every day. I learned that if I went and I paid attention and I turned in on the drop dead dates, the papers, and I took the test, that I could check off and I could get out of that class and go to the next one. I learned discipline by going to, some of you learn discipline by joining the military. Wherever you go where there's expectations, remember I talked about expectations? Once the expectation is part of your life and you accept that expectation, which comes from aptitude of understanding said expectation. So if you put those together, then making dials is not that tough. It's just not that tough. All right. So anybody wondered, me and Andy get together, and he throws out great topics, and I sit there and I'm thinking, in my mind works this way.
He's a sociologist.
Yeah,
he spent his whole life trying to explain to people what makes your organization work. In this county, every county, one of the best attorneys I know told me he was one of the smartest guys he ever met. He said he's way different than you, but when it gets down to it, he's smart. You're going to love this guy. Y'all going to be best friends. And I introduced him to my leadership, and he told him some stuff about him. They were talking about throwing him out the window and letting him die. We were up in my pool house, and I was like, no, give him some time. And then, you remember that? And then they're like, he'll be good for us. And I was like, yeah, he's going to be good for her. How long you been hanging around us now?
Since 2010.
Since 2010. So 9 years. And it's just, it validifies it, but it takes away from my redneck version. He puts it in the academic sense, and it fixes people. Hey, I got two quick things I got to do. So there was this guy who played football at Carolina, Chapel Hill, and then he was a tire changer with NASCAR. And now you might have heard him if you like country music. His name is Chase Rice, and he's a country singer. And I was listening to this song on the way in. I should have been listening to the audio. Now, to be clear, I did listen to Steve Furtick, and I did listen to Greg Rochelle, and I can tell you what they said too. But I did listen to country song before I flipped them on here, and it was, no matter where we go, no matter what we do. If you were there, girl, Jane Lee, my wife of 32 years, I've got my eyes on you. Don't matter where we've been. No, there ain't no better view than you in my arms with my eyes on you. With my eyes on you. See, let me explain something to you. Long-term relationships are built when you keep relationships. When you start relationships all over time, they don't stay long-term. My experience has been this. You're married? I'm 100% certain he got marriage problems. Does that make sense? Who's single? Who's single? Bro, you got dating problems. Who say, how you know that? I got to see right through you. Does that make sense? I don't date. Well, you definitely got a dating problem. See how that works? You living with somebody, you got living together problems. Does that make sense? The way that me and Chris Long have hung on to each other to make this a long-term relationship is we don't quit. Does that make sense? And we have lines that we don't step over. Like he cuts me with a knife. He sticks me. If it's an accident, it's cool. But you try to stick me trying to kill me, that's a whole different game. And if he was drinking a whole lot and tried to kill me, I might understand that and might overlook that. I'd be like, My wife sometimes, this is my wife I'm talking about, my wife be like, don't you remember what he did to you? And I'd be like, baby, he was not responsible at the time that he took that action against me. And she's like, you are crazy. I am a forgiving person. And I like arrogant people that know everything. I love these people. As we was playing, we was doing this right here, and I told the guy, I said, hey, I hope my religion is right if we go down. You know what I'm saying? Those people who know for sure their God is the God, I like those people, especially if their God is my God and they know they're right. Does that make sense? I like, tell me again, you sure he's it? And they say, yeah, Jehovah, oh yeah, this is the guy, right? And I'll be like, what about this one? You know, and they're like, I don't know. I said, I hope they're right too. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know how big God's window is, but I hope it's a deadgum Y, like it's like 17 good things in your life and you're in. It's something, you know what I'm saying? Pick a God, go with one, right? You know, I like these people that know my situation and I'm right and does that make, you understand what I'm trying to tell you is, I don't know about that, but this I know. If Cuz had to quit that day, or I'd have quit that day, or if I'd have broke off all relations when I was 10 or whatever that he don't remember, God, it still makes me mad. I'd have to think about it a while to get mad like I was that day. I remember crying to my mama. I remember thinking I want to get him one day. And that's when I hit his shoulder, I think. But anyway, this song, My Eyes on You, made me think of that with my wife and just fighting. And I don't mean like fighting, but just fighting. Just trying to go like, I'm wrong. Or shoot, mistake. Cuz, sorry about that. Ron, sorry about that. I ain't answered your text back or either your wife's. Sorry about that. I'm going to get to the text. Does that make sense? Does that make, Mia, you tracking with me? So I can't be so nervous talking to me, and you can't be so nervous talking to me. Does that make sense? We've got to fight through this mess. Like if my boy can't handle these numbers, wherever they go to, if he can't handle these numbers, we're going to be in big doo-doo. Does that make sense? Because if he wants me to give him a list of offenses he's done me, I'll do that. But where's that going to get us? I don't remember any offenses. I am a forgiving, does that make sense? So I don't know. That's why I try to not decide. Boy, I mean, you remember a guy asked me about one of my books. He said, you think he's going to heaven or hell? I said, hell, I don't know. I hope he goes to heaven. Hell, I hope I'm going. You know what I'm saying? First, I got to feel good about myself. That's what he says. You know, he says, first this is me up here. This is me right here. You got to fix me. I don't know where it was. You got to fix me is what he's saying, right? That attitude is me. If I don't feel good about me, I feel pretty good about me, then I can't feel good about you. And the worse a person feels about themselves, the worse they're going to feel about you. Does that make sense? So where do you get this stuff? Rich, smart people told me this. Powerful, smart people. Psychiatrists and psychologists and sociologists told me this. Hurt people hurt people. Does that make sense? They will. So now you got to look at them differently. You got to look at them and go, phew, they got marriage problems. Phew, they got single person problems. They got living with somebody problems. Does that make sense? They got mama problems. They got daddy problems. How I know? Because they had a mom and daddy. What if they never met their daddy? Well, there's daddy problems right there. Does that make sense? So you try to look at them from a different light so you can, Jane Hill, or Jane B, and she hammered me yesterday afternoon. She's like, Andy, we got to remember what they're dealing with their life. You say, you have to be reminded of that. Yeah, that's why I listen to audio. That's why I read books. And that's why I don't go into isolation. That is a dumba. I don't go into isolation. I go to the rich people. I go to the people that are killing it. I go to the people that stayed married. I go to the people that stayed alive. I go to the people that kept getting on a horse, and I say, hey, got a situation right here. Work with me this. And I go, it's different. You understand? And they go, yeah, I know it's going to be different. And I'm thinking, it ain't going to be different. It's like, does that make sense? You hear me? It's the ability to hang on. Now, I got two. Oh, I got a bunch to tell you real fast. Okay. This one plays in my head all the time. Okay? You can provide example and opportunity to people. Your job is to set the example. Your job is to set the example for people and provide opportunity for people. That's what this business gives you the opportunity to do, is give people opportunity and set the example. People said, ain't nobody watching me. Rodney Atkins wrote this, watching you. He said, I've been a-watching you, Dad. Ain't that cool? I'm your buckaroo. I want to be like you and eat all my food and grow as tall as you are. We got cowboy boots and camo pants. Yeah, we're just alike. Hey, ain't we, Dad? I want to do everything you do, so I've been a-watching you. Driving through town, just my boy and me with a Happy Meal in my booster seat, knowing that he couldn't have the toy till his nuggets were done. A green light turned straight to red, and I hit the brakes, and I mumbled under my breath as fries went to flying and an orange drink covered his lap. Well, then my 4-year-old said a 4-letter word, and it started with S, and I was concerned. So I said, son, now, where'd you learn to talk like that? He said, I'm going to be your buckaroo, buddy. I'm going to grow up and be just like you. Is that the example you're setting? Let me explain something to you. Every time I mess up, I think about my son, Spencer. I think about my daughter. I think about my son-in-law. I think about Spencer's girlfriend. I think about you, and I think about you, and I think about you, and I go, I better get my ass back on the horse and quit with the self-pity and quit with the revenge and quit with the, because you know what? I'm going to do something that they can't take away. You can't, I watch movies now, and there is a terrorist, there is a party, there is a skydiver, and I go, been there, stood right there on that corner talking to Jason Mathis. Yeah. Adam Katz wrote my wife some ice cream right around the corner right there up on that island. Right up on the corner there. I've been there 2 or 3 times. That book, that big book that sets up in my pool room and everybody signs it, that right over there beside the ice cream place where we got that book. And remember all that wine I got? That sweet wine, and then it got the crusty stuff in it. We didn't drink it fast enough. We better get some now. You can't take, I'm going to do something that they can't take away. Let me tell you. Okay, attitude, actions, and aptitude. People take action when their belief is high. You want to change a hot spot? Change the belief. If everybody thinks we're going to double, change a marriage by changing the attitude. The expectation change. When a woman is expecting a kid, they act differently. They walk differently. They talk differently. They think differently. The expectation causes you to change your actions, your belief. And your belief comes from stories and examples and people who are dumber than you, uglier than you, smarter than you, taller than you, and they've done it. And when you start seeing so many people that's done it, when you come to our family reunion and you meet people that are younger than you, that are making it and succeeded, your belief goes up and your expectation goes up and then your action goes up. This is a dadgum formula. This is baking a cake. This is making a lemon pie. You just got to follow the sequence. This is the way it works. You tracking with me? Okay. I want to talk to you about entrepreneurial mindset, not job mentality. Here's the way it works. When I first started insurance, I cleared $200,000. I invested $280,000. People said, where'd you get the $80,000? I put it on a credit card. You said, was you disappointed? I was fired up out of my mind because I was building a business. Let's go back 7 years prior to that when I was in Amway. Won me a trip to Ada, Michigan. Woo-hoo! Free trip to the Grand Hotel in Ada, Michigan. You say, was you disappointed? I ain't made no money in Amway. I done spent more money than I made in 1 year. What'd you say to yourself? I said, I'm going to be big one day. This thing's going to be crazy. You wait until I'm 50, Adam Katz. You watch. I was building, not bitching. Does that make sense? I was long-term, not short-term. When I spent $280, I could have easily spent $40 and cleared $160, but I wouldn't have what I have today. It's called double down. You can't win big if you don't bet big, and you're going to lose sometime, and you can't roll over and pee on yourself like an excited puppy or a disappointed puppy. You got to get yourself up like a business builder and kick some butt and get excited. Does that make sense, what I'm telling you? Short term, long term. Are you building? Are you working a job? Self mentality. I did it. I took action. I had an attitude. My daddy was dying from Parkinson's disease, and I was crying, and I came back to Burlington just to hang around with Daddy, and he said, go build your business. And I said, but you're dying. He said, I'll see you when you get there, boy. The only thing different is you couldn't hardly understand him because his throat was throwing up, it was swelling up, and he just, I was like, it's almost a different language, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. This guy, I ain't sure if he ever tried to quit. He did try to kill himself, but he had Parkinson's. He couldn't get the gun in his mouth. He had that thing going around. I found him out in the back of the yard. I said, what are you doing? I'm trying to get the gun in my mouth. So get your ass up. We still got stuff to do. He's like, all right. And my mama told me, she was telling me, I went over to the house the other day just to ask her about stuff. I said, tell me how crazy your daddy was. And she said, let me tell you how crazy your daddy was. And she told me some other crazy stuff about him. And I'm sitting there, he's dying. And I said, so when I call the people up, I got to be the battery, not the toy. I got to be the Energizer bunny. I got to, you say, fake it. I don't care what you say. I got to talk trash. That life is good. And no matter what's going on with my children, no matter what's going on with my back, my knees, my eyesight, you get old, you'll see. That's what Mama kept telling me. You wait till you're 83. I got it. You still got, listen to this. Here's my heroes in life. Brian Tracy. We might get Brian Tracy in. Guess what?
Come on, baby. Okay.
He passed out, stroke, different problems. And so we said, can he come? They said, well, if he comes, he'll be in a wheelchair. He's speaking up in Virginia, on the East Coast, in California. He might be able to do it. But if he does, it'll be on a wheelchair. This joker don't need no money. Does that make sense? You know what he is? An example. He's a fighter. And he ain't worried about who don't like him and who said what to him and how different his life has been. Does that make sense? John Maxwell. These people that keep fighting. Dude, watch this. Who cares? Do you understand Tiger Woods has people that just, he had some infidelity. He had some party. He tried to be a SEAL. Right? That's where he got a lot of damage to his knee. You with me? He tried this. Right? Here's what I know. That jerker done got back up and won again. You can't take that away from him. You can make fun at him. You can put him down, but he done won again, got a green jacket. I can take the green jacket. You can't take away the experience of him putting that jacket on. Does that make sense? You say, what do you think's going to happen next? I said, works like this, whatever he decides. When an obstacle gets bigger than his dream, if you keep the dream this big, you can swallow it, you can ignore it, you can work around it, you can work over it, you can do whatever it takes. But the minute your dream is less than the obstacle wins, and you will find a way to what? Blame somebody, including me, for why you failed. Blame game. And you will win that game once you decide to go into it. But when you decide, I ain't quitting, I'm finding a way, I'm going to scratch it out, sniff it out, sort it out, get some assistance, get some help, regroup, punt, tack again, reload. We coming back, baby, or we're going to die. in the middle of the fight, and they won't be able to take that away. He died in the middle of the fight. Ha! Listen, I'm not asking you to do something you can't do. I'm asking you to do something you're capable of doing. I'm not asking for nobody to do anything you can't do. What I'm asking you to do is what you can do. And what I want to know is, will you do it? Come with me. Let's go take over the world. Love y'all. Love you, baby.